What would your life look like if you stopped waiting for the perfect moment? If you stopped hesitating, second-guessing, delaying? How many dreams have you buried, not because they were impossible, but because you didn't move? Not because you lacked the talent or the vision, but because you waited. You waited for the motivation. You waited for the right time. You waited until you felt ready. And in that waiting, momentum died. Opportunity passed, and the future you wanted slipped further out of reach. But here's the truth. The greatest threat to your goals is not failure, it's hesitation. It's the silence between your desire and your decision. That small moment when your instinct says go, but your doubt says wait. That's the moment that decides everything. That's where the battle is won or lost. And today, we draw the line. Because you were not born to sit still. You were not made to wait. You were built to act, to move, to create. And that part of you, the part that takes the first step, that pushes through fear, that makes no excuses, is still there. You just have to wake it up. So let me be clear. This is not a motivational speech. This is a command. It's time to force yourself to act. Not next week, not tomorrow, right now. Because the future you want is not waiting for you, it's running, and if you want to catch it, you're going to have to move. Let's get brutally honest. Most people don't fail because of lack of talent, intelligence, or even opportunity. They fail because they never start. They spend years circling the runway, building plans, tweaking ideas, visualizing success, but they never take off. They confuse preparation with progress. They wait for a feeling they call motivation. And when it doesn't come, they stay stuck, comfortable, paralyzed. Motivation is a liar. It's a trap dressed in inspiration. It tells you you'll move when the time is right, but the time is never right. Life doesn't wait for your feelings to align. Success doesn't show up only when you're excited and energized. It shows up when you do. And the cold truth is, motivation fades, emotion changes, but discipline, action, that's what rewires everything. You've been conditioned to believe you need to feel inspired before you act. But the truth is, action creates inspiration. Motion creates momentum. You don't wait until you're confident to take the leap. You leap, and the confidence follows. The people you admire, the ones who changed their lives, built empires, rewrote their story, they weren't fearless. They just moved anyway. They understood this truth. The pain of doing something uncomfortable is nothing compared to the regret of staying still. Regret is the heaviest weight you will ever carry, and it's built one skipped action at a time. One excuse, one delay, one maybe tomorrow stacked on top of the next. And if you let that pile grow, it will bury you. Hesitation is not just a delay, it's a decision. Every time you hesitate, even for a moment, your brain registers danger. Not physical danger, but social, emotional, psychological risk. Your subconscious mind kicks in and says, wait, what if I fail? What will they think? What if I'm not ready? These questions start to shape your identity. And before you even take the first step, you've already convinced yourself to quit. But here's the secret nobody told you. Hesitation is a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. It starts with a shift in identity. You stop seeing yourself as the hesitant thinker and start seeing yourself as the disciplined doer. You rewire your brain by pairing thought with immediate action. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, next time you feel fear, do the exact opposite of what your instinct says. Speak when you want to stay quiet. Move when you want to stay still. Commit when you want to wait. You have to train your nervous system that hesitation does not keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. The more you act in the face of uncertainty, the more your brain learns. This is who I am now. And from there, everything changes. Hesitation dies when decisiveness becomes your identity. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need more confidence. You don't need permission. You need movement. That's it. And the faster you act, the faster fear fades. Action is the cure. Forward is the answer. So ask yourself, what would my life look like if I replaced every moment of hesitation with bold, intentional action? You already know the answer. It would be unrecognizable, unstoppable, unapologetic. And that's the version of you we're here to unlock. Discipline is not punishment. It's not restriction. It's not the enemy of freedom. It is the creator of it. The people you admire, the legends whose names echo through time, they weren't driven by fleeting motivation. They were anchored by something deeper, relentless self-discipline. The kind that doesn't care how you feel today. The kind that shows up whether it's sunny or storming. The kind that acts not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Most people believe they need motivation to move, but that's a lie. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a mindset. Motivation whispers, maybe later. Discipline demands, now. Discipline is the quiet force behind every great transformation. It's what gets you out of bed at 5 a.m. It's what turns pain into purpose, repetition into mastery, struggle into strength. It's the difference between the man who dreams and the man who achieves. Now hear this, if you've failed in the past, it's not because you weren't talented enough. It's because you didn't follow through. You stopped when it got hard, when your feelings shifted, when the voices of doubt got loud. But the disciplined man, he keeps showing up, even when the fire is gone, even when no one is watching, because he knows every rep, every word, every step taken in silence becomes a roar in the future. Discipline is your edge. It's the one thing you can control, no matter your past, your pain, or your current position. You might not be the smartest, you might not be the fastest, but if you're the most consistent, you will win. Over time, discipline makes talent irrelevant. So if you want to kill fear, become more disciplined than your doubt. Outwork your hesitation. Let your actions speak so loudly that fear no longer gets a word in. You don't have to feel like it. You just have to do it, one action at a time, one commitment at a time. That's how you become unstoppable. And here's the truth no one talks about. Discipline feels hard at first, but over time it becomes your identity. And once something becomes your identity, it becomes effortless. You don't force yourself to act. It's who you are. And that is power. Let me ask you something. How long have you been waiting? Waiting for the right time, waiting for a sign, waiting for motivation to strike like lightning, for your schedule to clear, for your confidence to magically appear. You tell yourself, once I'm ready, I'll go all in. But the reality is brutal. The more you wait, the more fear tightens its grip around your potential. The truth is, there is no perfect moment. There never has been, and there never will be. The stars won't align. The conditions won't be perfect. You won't wake up one day magically fearless. Success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who move. It's a hard truth to accept. But if you don't act, you'll rot in the waiting room of life, watching others pass you by. Not because they were smarter or more talented or better prepared, but because they acted while you hesitated. The people who win in life are not the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who have the courage to start messy. They take massive, imperfect action. They fail, they stumble, but they keep moving, and that movement builds momentum. That movement builds mastery. You don't become confident by waiting for it. You become confident by showing up. By doing the thing badly at first and doing it again and again until fear has no choice but to step aside. Because momentum doesn't come from clarity, it comes from action. You want to write a book? Start writing, even if it's garbage. You want to build a business? Start offering your service, even if no one listens. You want to get in shape? Get up and walk. Even if you're exhausted, start. Now, not later. Not when it feels convenient. You don't need the whole staircase, just the first step. Do you know why most people never achieve their goals? It's not because they lack talent. It's not because they don't have potential. It's because they wait too long. They overthink. They obsess over the perfect plan, the perfect moment, the perfect strategy, and they end up doing nothing at all. Perfection is a myth, and chasing it will paralyze you. It will chain you to mediocrity disguised as preparation. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop telling yourself that you need to know more, that you need to be more, that you need one more book, one more course, one more mentor before you begin. You want to know the truth? Everything you need is already inside of you, but it will only be activated through action. Look at history's greatest achievers: Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk. Do you think they waited for certainty? Do you think they had all the answers before they began? They started with what they had. They made mistakes. They adjusted. They grew. But they were in motion. And that's what matters. Motion creates clarity. Action exposes the path. Every single step forward reveals the next step. It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be polished. It just has to be real. And here's what you need to burn into your mind. Your mind will lie to you. It will tell you you're not ready. It will tell you, what if you fail? It will scream, this isn't the right time. And you have to be strong enough to do it anyway. Because if you wait until the fear goes away, you'll wait forever. You must become the kind of person who takes action regardless of emotion, who shows up whether they feel like it or not, who moves especially when it's uncomfortable. That's the difference between the average and the extraordinary. The average man waits. The extraordinary man moves. And when you act consistently with intensity, even when it's messy, something incredible happens. You separate from the crowd. You rise. You create results, not someday, but today. Because what most people forget is this: action is the cure for fear. Fear thrives in stagnation. It festers in inaction. But the moment you move, it loses its grip. It shrinks. It fades, and you rise. So here's what I challenge you to do right now. Pick one thing you've been putting off, one thing you've been overthinking, and do it. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Make that phone call, start that workout, write that page, launch that offer, speak your truth, move. Even if your voice shakes, even if you're not ready, even if you're terrified. Because every great thing that has ever been created, like every business, every book, every breakthrough, started with imperfect, courageous action. The life you want is not waiting for you. It's waiting for you to act. So stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop making fear your decision maker. Take massive, imperfect action and do it like your future depends on it, because it does. It's not time. It's not money. It's not your job, your circumstances, or the people around you. It's not even the fear itself. It's the voice in your head, the quiet, persistent whisper that says you can't, that says you're not ready, that says, what if you fail? What if you look stupid? What if it all falls apart? That voice is not you. That voice is the shadow of your past, the echo of every rejection, every failure, every wound you've carried. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, even as self-protection. But in reality, it's fear. And if you don't learn how to shut it down, it will run your life. You must understand something powerful. The voice in your head is not your conscience. It's your conditioning. It's the sum of all the doubts you've collected from other people. Teachers who told you not to aim too high, friends who laughed when you dreamed big, family who meant well but warned you to be realistic. All of it, layer by layer, built a fortress of fear inside your mind. And now that fortress is what's keeping your greatness locked away. You think you're being careful. You think you're avoiding risk. But what you're really doing is obeying a lie. That voice says, play it safe. That voice says, wait until it's perfect. That voice says, you're not like them. And slowly, without realizing it, you live your entire life inside a cage that you didn't even build. You inherited it. You absorbed it, but now you must tear it down. Because the enemy isn't the outside world. It's the inner critic. The one that sabotages every opportunity before it begins. The one that makes you rehearse failure instead of victory. The one that keeps you busy analyzing, preparing, avoiding, but never truly acting. And until you confront it, nothing changes. So how do you silence this enemy? You don't beg it to go away. You don't wait until it's quiet. You don't debate with it like it's rational. No, you dominate it with action. You destroy it by doing the exact thing it tells you not to do. You prove it wrong over and over until its voice no longer matters. You see, the mind is like a muscle. It strengthens whatever you repeat. So every time you give in to fear, you're reinforcing it. Every time you avoid the challenge, you're training your brain to believe that fear is truth. But every time you face it, every time you do the thing anyway, you build a different belief, a stronger one, a more powerful identity. You stop being the person who believes fear and start becoming the person who breaks it. But here's the key. You must act before you feel ready. You must move before you feel courageous. Confidence isn't what comes first. It's what comes after the action, after the resistance, after you've stared fear in the face and done it anyway. So next time that voice creeps in, and it will, remember this: you don't need to defeat it in your head. You only need to ignore it long enough to act. Let it scream, let it panic, let it flail, and then go do what it told you not to. Because that's the moment you reclaim your power. That's the moment you begin to kill the fears, not by erasing it, but by starving it of attention, of obedience, of belief, until eventually your mind becomes quieter, sharper, stronger, until that voice loses its grip and your voice, the one full of fire and clarity and boldness, takes the lead. And make no mistake, the world is not changed by those who have no fear. It is changed by those who act in spite of it. The legends we look up to, they felt it too. They questioned themselves. They doubted. But they moved anyway. And that movement, not talent, not luck, not genius, is what made them unstoppable. You have that power too, right now. All you need to do is stop giving fear the microphone. Stop letting it narrate your life. Stop letting it decide your future. You have dreams that deserve to breathe, ideas that deserve a voice, a life that deserves to be lived in full, not half-lived because of imaginary danger. So here's what I want you to remember every time fear speaks. You're not here to play small. You're not here to run. You're not here to surrender to a voice that has never built anything. You're here to build, to lead, to live, loudly, boldly, fearlessly. And the only way to become fearless is to stop negotiating with fear. Starve the voice, feed the action, and take back your mind. Now that you've taken the first step, now that you've silenced the voice of fear with action, there's something even more powerful waiting for you. It's not motivation. It's not luck. It's not even discipline alone. It's momentum. Relentless, unstoppable momentum. Let me explain something few people ever understand. It's not the size of the step that changes your life. It's the fact that you keep stepping, day after day, no matter what. That's what builds power. That's what builds identity. That's what separates those who talk from those who rise. See, motivation is temporary. It's emotional. It comes and goes with your mood, the weather, how much sleep you had, whether someone said something nice to you. But momentum is mechanical. It's dependable. It's real. It's like a train that picks up speed. Slow at first, heavy and grinding, but eventually it becomes unstoppable. But most people never reach that speed. Do you know why? Because they keep stopping. They start something, a new habit, a project, a goal, with fire in their belly. But after a few days, a few setbacks, or a little resistance, they pause, they hesitate, they start over, again and again. And each time they restart, they lose the very thing that would have propelled them forward, momentum. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill. The first few pushes are hard. You question yourself. You wonder if it's worth it. But if you keep pushing, you gain leverage. The weight gets lighter. The hill begins to level. And then one day, you reach the peak. Gravity switches sides. And now the boulder works for you, not against you. That's what momentum does. But you'll never get there if you keep letting go of the boulder. You can't stop every time it gets uncomfortable. You can't pause every time the results aren't instant. You can't wait until it feels easy, because it won't. Not in the beginning. Success, change, transformation. These things aren't gifted. They're earned. One step at a time, one choice at a time, one hard day at a time. You have to stop restarting your life. You have to stop living in cycles of almost. Stop breaking promises to yourself just because motivation wore off. You are not your mood. You are not your fear. You are what you do consistently. And if you can commit to showing up, even on the days when it feels pointless, you will generate a force inside you more powerful than anything you've ever known. Momentum. Because here's the thing. Every time you follow through, you're stacking bricks. At first, it looks like nothing, just one brick, then another. But over time, that consistency builds a fortress. And one day, you look back and realize you're standing inside the very life you once dreamed of. And the secret? You didn't stop. You didn't restart. You didn't let your feelings become your decisions. You let momentum do what motivation never could. So let me speak directly to the part of you that wants to quit, the part that wants to wait, the part that whispers, maybe tomorrow. Kill that part with repetition, silence it with routine, bury it beneath action. Your goal right now is not perfection. It's not speed. It's not dramatic transformation. Your only goal is this: don't stop. Momentum will make you stronger than you thought you could be, not because you tried harder, but because you kept going. One step becomes 5. 5 become 50. And suddenly you don't recognize yourself in the best possible way. You're sharper, clearer, unshakable. Not because the path got easier, but because you became stronger by walking it anyway. This is how greatness is built. Not through one brilliant move, but through hundreds of ordinary moves made consistently, through repetition, through resolve, through momentum that compounds like interest in a bank, quiet at first and then suddenly exponential. So whatever you're chasing, whether it's a business, a skill, a version of yourself you've never met, stop waiting for it to feel easy. Stop needing every step to feel exciting. And above all, stop starting over. You have everything you need right now. What's missing is not inspiration, it's consistency. And once you build that, fear has no place, doubt has no power. And quitting becomes unthinkable because you're no longer crawling. You're no longer convincing yourself. You're moving, you're rising, you're relentless. And that's when the world begins to notice. That's when the doors open. Not for the most talented, but for the most persistent. Now go. Keep moving. Stack the bricks. Protect the momentum. And never stop building the life you were meant to live. There comes a moment on this path where something bigger than motivation kicks in. Something deeper than goals and stronger than discipline alone. That moment is when you stop trying to succeed and start being someone who succeeds. You shift your identity. Because let's get something straight. Success is not just about what you do. It's about who you are, or more importantly, who you believe you are. If you see yourself as a procrastinator, you will procrastinate. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll keep quitting. If you see yourself as someone who tries hard but never gets results, that will become your reality, no matter how much you want something else. That's the power of identity. Your brain is hardwired to stay consistent with who you think you are. It's not just a thought, it's a command. It becomes your operating system. So even if you want to be rich, or fit, or fearless, if your identity still whispers, "But that's not really me," your behavior will sabotage your progress. Every single time. You'll find excuses. You'll lose momentum. You'll seek comfort. And worst of all, you won't even realize you're doing it. That's why most people fail, not because they don't have the potential, not because they don't have the opportunity, but because they're still trying to achieve with the same identity that created their current reality. You don't become wealthy by thinking like someone who's broke. You don't become fearless by identifying as someone who's scared. And you don't become successful by clinging to the identity of someone who always starts over. So what's the solution? You become the kind of person who must succeed. You rewire your mind. You upgrade the way you see yourself. You don't just change your habits, you change your standards. You stop saying, I'll try. You start saying, this is who I am now. You stop negotiating with weakness. You start acting like someone who's already arrived. It's not about faking it, it's about deciding. The moment you decide you are no longer the old version of yourself, that version dies. And with it, all the excuses that used to protect your comfort zone. From that moment on, everything changes because the question is no longer, can I do it? It becomes, what would someone like me do right now? Would they skip their habits? Would they delay the mission? Would they let fear speak louder than purpose? Number, because a person who must succeed has burned the bridges behind them. There is no turning back. There is no plan B. There is only action, alignment, and absolute certainty. You see, this is how elite performers operate, not with perfect motivation, not with endless confidence, but with identity. They train their mind to expect excellence from themselves, not as an act, but as a way of life. This is what makes someone wake up at 5 a.m. to train while the rest of the world sleeps. This is what keeps someone grinding in silence when no one's watching. This is what separates the top 1% from the rest. They're not acting like winners. They are winners. You must decide the same. From this moment forward, you are not just someone who wants to succeed. You are success in motion. You don't wait for proof. You create it with every decision, every time you show up, every time you speak with conviction, every time you do what your old self would have avoided. You reinforce this new identity. It becomes your default setting. It becomes who you are when nobody's looking. And that right there is how you kill fear permanently. Because fear can't live in a mind that knows who it is. Doubt can't survive when your actions match your purpose. So what now? You choose. You choose who you are. And then you fight for that identity every single day until reality catches up. Because once you make that decision, once you claim that identity, there is nothing left to fear. Only the future you were born to create. And if you want to change your life, if you want to crush fear and create success that lasts, then you need to understand something most people never will. You don't rise by chasing external validation. You rise by becoming your own authority. You rise by developing a code of conduct, internal standards that are non-negotiable, not because the world is watching, but because you are. Self-respect is the foundation of greatness. It is the invisible force behind consistency, behind confidence, behind every disciplined action. When you respect yourself, you don't cut corners. You don't break your own promises. You don't rely on praise to do what needs to be done. You show up because you said you would, and that's enough. But let's be honest. Most people live without self-respect. They say they'll change, but they don't. They say they'll start tomorrow, but never do. They say they're serious until discomfort appears. And each time they break their word to themselves, something deeper breaks. Their belief, their confidence, their identity. You see, the real damage of inconsistency isn't the missed goal. It's the message you send to your subconscious that your words mean nothing, that your goals are flexible, that your standards can be bent depending on how you feel. But when you become your own authority, everything shifts. You stop looking for permission. You stop asking, is this okay? Or will someone approve? You already know the answer because your internal code is solid. Your actions don't change based on who's in the room because the person you respect the most is always in the room, you. This is the moment when you become unshakable because no one can take away what they didn't give you. If your standards are based on external validation, they can be taken with a single rejection. But if they're rooted in self-respect, they become bulletproof. Ask yourself this: what are your current standards? Do you only do the work when you feel like it? Do you show up strong only when people are watching? Do you negotiate with your goals the moment resistance appears? If so, you're not leading yourself, you're reacting. And reaction never creates power. But imagine this instead. A version of you that wakes up and holds the line no matter what. That follows through on commitments, not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because that's who you are now. Imagine building that version of you day by day, decision by decision. That's how you build trust in yourself. That's how you silence fear, because fear loses power when you no longer need anything from it, when you no longer need its permission, when you become so grounded in your own internal compass, your own vision, that you move forward, with or without approval. This is what self-leadership looks like. This is what true strength is made of. And the beauty of it? You don't need anyone's help to start. You don't need a better schedule or a new course. You just need to raise your standard and not break it. That might mean waking up earlier. That might mean saying no to distractions. That might mean eliminating the excuses you've tolerated for too long. But whatever it means for you, let this be the turning point. From today forward, you don't just do things because you feel like it. You do them because they align with who you are becoming. You do them because the man or woman you respect the most is the one you see in the mirror. And that person does not flinch. That person does not negotiate their greatness. Set your code. Define it clearly. What do you tolerate? What do you demand from yourself? What actions are non-negotiable, even on your worst days? Write it down. Live by it. Let it become your silent armor. Because when you live with standards, when you walk with self-respect, you stop being controlled by circumstances and start becoming the force that creates them. Fear has no place in a mind governed by principle. Fear crumbles in the presence of unwavering self-respect. So no more looking outward. No more waiting for approval. No more asking who's watching. You're watching, and that's all the reason you need to rise. Excuses are seductive. They whisper sweet comfort into your ear, telling you it's okay to wait, to slow down, to stay the same. They sound like reason, but they are poison. They are the silent killers of ambition, and most people let them run their lives. You don't need more time. You don't need better luck. You don't need the perfect plan. You need to eliminate the story that says, I'll do it when it's easier, when I feel more confident, when things slow down. Let's be clear, that moment never comes. The path to success is not paved with ideal circumstances. It is forged in the fire of action, taken despite resistance, taken despite fear, taken without the crutch of excuses. Until you remove the escape routes from your thinking, you will stay exactly where you are. Because here's the truth. You can either have results or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. Every time you say, I'm too tired, you reinforce the identity of someone who gives in. Every time you say, I don't have time, you hand over control to your distractions. Every time you say, I'm just not ready, you let fear write your story. Excuses might protect your ego in the short term, but they destroy your life in the long run. So ask yourself honestly, what are the lies you've been telling yourself? What stories do you keep repeating to justify inaction? What reasons have you wrapped in logic, when in truth, they're just fear in disguise? If you're serious about change, burn the excuses. Make discomfort your new comfort zone. Replace I can't with I must. Replace I don't know how with I'll learn. Replace I'm afraid with I'll act anyway. The most successful people in the world weren't born fearless. They simply stopped negotiating with the voice that told them to stay small. They didn't make room for excuses. They made room for progress. Understand this. Growth only begins the moment excuses end. Because when you take full responsibility, radical ownership, something inside of you shifts. You no longer wait for life to make things easier. You stop looking outside for answers. You realize the only thing that must change is you. You. Your mindset, your habits, your decisions. Excuses give your power away. Responsibility brings it back home. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about claiming yourself, owning your role in where you are, and more importantly, owning your power to move beyond it. Do you want to wake up a year from now in the same place, still repeating the same justifications, still pointing to the same roadblocks? Or do you want to look back with pride, knowing that you did the hard thing, you silenced the lies, you crushed the excuses, and you built a life that reflects your potential? If it's the latter, the work starts now, not tomorrow, not after you feel motivated. Now, replace every excuse with a choice. I don't have time becomes it's not a priority, but it needs to be. I'm not ready becomes I'll learn on the way. I'm too tired becomes that's exactly why I need to show up. Your future depends on what you do today and what you stop tolerating from yourself. Discipline isn't just about doing the work. It's about removing the options that lead to weakness. It's about refusing to let your emotions dictate your actions. It's about showing up, even when every excuse seems justified. You want transformation? Kill the excuse. You want momentum? Cut the safety net. You want greatness? Burn the bridges that lead back to comfort. Because the more excuses you eliminate, the more powerful you become. Each one you destroy clears the path for your future self to emerge. The self who doesn't hesitate, who doesn't retreat, who moves forward like it's the only option, because it is. This is how you become unstoppable. This is how you become fearless. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being uncompromising with your standards. And that starts with this choice. No more excuses. From this moment forward, you become the kind of person who does what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. That's how change begins. And that's how greatness is built. Let this be your wake-up call. You don't get another life. You don't get a second version of today. This is it. The clock is ticking, and the world isn't slowing down. Your dreams are not going to chase you. You have to hunt them down with everything you've got. And yet, so many people are asleep while they're awake, numbed by routine, addicted to comfort, held hostage by doubt. Days pass, then weeks, then years, until one day they look back and realize they never started. Don't let that be you, because here's the truth. If you're waiting to feel ready, you're already behind. No one feels ready. No one wakes up fearless. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, started with a single decision. I'm doing this. Now they were scared. They were unsure. They had doubts. But they did it anyway. That's the difference. Not talent, not privilege, not luck. Action. They acted before they were prepared. And through action, they became prepared. You must force yourself to move, not once, not twice, but every single day. Motivation will fade. Passion will flicker. But your discipline, your commitment to act no matter what, that's what builds a life worth living. Don't look for a miracle. Become one. If you're waiting for a sign, this is it. Your goals are waiting to be built. Your future is waiting to be shaped. But you cannot build anything from the sidelines. You must step into the arena. You must fight for what you want. And you must do it without guarantee, without applause, and without waiting for someone to tell you it's time. Because it is time. Time to stop shrinking. Time to stop explaining. Time to stop carrying your dreams like burdens instead of marching with them like banners. Time to go. You don't need a perfect strategy, just a step. One bold, intentional step forward, and then another, and another after that. The path will appear as you walk it. The strength will grow as you train it, and the fear will fade as you face it. This is how you become unstoppable, not by wishing for it, but by working for it. Wake up every day with fire in your gut and steel in your mind. Remind yourself that the only one responsible for your future is you, and that's not pressure, that's power. Own it, because this life is not a rehearsal. And if you don't write your story, someone else will. If you don't rise, you'll be ruled. If you don't act, you'll be acted upon. So take the reins, be the author, be the builder, be the fire that refuses to go out. Let today be the line you draw in the sand. The moment you look back on and say, that's when everything changed, because you stopped wishing. You stopped waiting, and you started becoming. If you've made it this far, then I know something about you. You're not here to live a small life. You're not here to be average. You're not here to let fear win. You're here to become the one who rises, no matter what stands in your way. So keep going. Your future demands it. And if this message lit something inside you, subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Watch my next video. We're going even deeper into the mindset of absolute resilience and how to stay powerful under pressure. The world doesn't need more fear, it needs more you. Now go build, go rise, go claim what's yours. Take action.